Hello survivalists, welcome to Quickfire Reviews, your no BS, straight to the point entertainment review channel. In today's video, we're reviewing Sons of the Forest. Make sure you stick around to the end to hear our rating, but first, let's get into it. The first thing I need to say about this game is that it's being considered an early access title, meaning this is not the official release and that may come several months from now with additional patches and content. So the game kicks off with you in a helicopter heading to this island. You appear to be some kind of mercenary or special ops person. You are looking at a laptop and you can see that there is a missing billionaire, and it appears that you've been hired to find this person who's gone missing on this island. Just as you're approaching the island, your helicopter is shot down, you crash land, you wake up either in the beach or the snow depending on where the game puts you, and that's where your adventure kicks off. Once you regain consciousness, it now is all about survival, so you have to build shelter, find food, and unravel the mystery of the island. Oh, and one other important note, the island seems to be inhabited by some crazy cannibal tribes and also some really strange looking mutant creatures that chase you all over the place. But more on that later on. Let's get into the visuals of this game. I have to admit, this thing looks pretty damn good. When you're in the forest, it feels like a living forest. When you're in the mountains, the snow is there and it feels like you're right in that environment. The graphics look next generation to me. I think they did a really excellent job, and there is this element of realism. It feels like you're there. There was a moment early in the game for me when I was in the forest just like chopping away on a tree so I could build a cabin, and I heard the wind rustle through the bushes and it was really aggressive, so I panned up and looked around and you could just see the trees flowing in the wind, and it was this beautiful moment in a video game. It was something I haven't experienced in a long time. Another thing that I thought was really cool is when you're chopping down trees with your axe, it actually looks like you're chipping away at the wood, and in fact, if you reposition your body and chip at a different side, you're more likely to get through the tree faster. What a cool detail, and something that they didn't really have to include, but I thought it was really neat. So for me, this game does really feel next generation when it comes to the graphics. I think they did an excellent job. Now let's talk about the gameplay. So if you've played a survival game before, you know it often revolves around you finding food, building shelter, building fires, drinking water, basically doing everything you possibly can to survive. This game follows that format. Fortunately, when you land, you have an emergency kit that comes with an axe right off the hop. It comes with a lighter and some other essential utilities. You also happen to have a little handy survival book that tells you how to build items. Now, the actual building of structures in this game is okay. I understand that with the original Forest, there was a method where basically you choose what you want to build, it puts a template down and then tells you the materials you need, and you can still access that in this game. I recommend using that method as opposed to the new one that they introduced, which allows you perhaps more flexibility, but I found it kind of clunky and it's very manual. So you have to manually place something on the ground, manually chop it into size. It just took a lot of time, and I prefer just to go back to the original method. Over time, you will begin to craft weapons and other items that are going to help you on your journey. You also have the addition of your AI companion, Kelvin, who's actually super helpful. You can basically give Kelvin tasks like, go cut down some trees and bring the logs and drop them here for me. And he does it, and it's awesome. There was one point where I'd given Kelvin a task, I'd walked away for maybe an hour to explore some other things. I came back and he just continued doing that task, so I had a stack of logs super high that helped me build a cabin, and he did an awesome job. It was cool to be able to have that work happening while I was doing something else. So good on you, Kelvin. Thanks for the help, buddy. All right, so you got your shelter, you've built some weapons, you've got some food, you're ready to go. Now you're gonna notice that there are a ton of local inhabitants that are circling where you've built your camp. Now, I find it kind of funny that sort of your first instinct when you play this and you see them kind of skulking about is to run up and kill them. Suddenly you become like a serial murderer as soon as you land on this island. But I think you can maybe leave them alone as well. In my experience, they kind of just sat around my camp, and when I decided to be hostile to one, that's when they all became hostile to me, and I killed one, and you can like throw them on the fire and melt them and get their bones and build other stuff with their bones. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you can do in this game. It's pretty cool. Once you've done fending off the local inhabitants that probably want to eat you or something, you can then take a dive into the caves and the bunkers of this game, which is where the mystery starts to unravel when it comes to the plot. The caves are full of these crazy mutants that attack you and want to kill you, and this is where you start to feel that survival horror element. My first experience in a cave was super cool. It was dark, it was creepy. I had just enough materials to build a torch, so I only had the light emitting from it in front of me just a few feet. You go through these narrow passages, and then I saw a monster. I saw a mutant, I saw something, a humanoid figure standing by this little pool of water. So I walked up to it, it turned around immediately and attacked me, and then a whole bunch more came out and attacked me as well. I ended up dying. It was super fun, it was cool, it was creepy, and this is where I really felt the survival horror elements of this game. There are a lot of fun moments like this in Sons of the Forest, and I encourage you to play it with friends so you can create some of your own unique experiences. Speaking of which, the one downfall I'll say about the multiplayer aspect of this is whoever is hosting the game, as soon as they disconnect, you can't connect to that game anymore. So it kind of sucked when I was working on something with a friend, they had to go, I wanted to stay and keep building something, but I couldn't, and I couldn't log back in until they were ready to come back in as well. But that's a small thing that I'm hoping they fix with the full release, or maybe they'll have dedicated servers where this won't be a problem. When it comes to the performance of the game, I was also very impressed. I was able to run this game at 4K and a steady kind of 55, 60 frames per second with no issue on Ultra. And because the graphics are so good, the gameplay was buttery smooth, I was just really blown away, especially because there's been so many releases lately, AAA releases, that cannot perform at this level. So there was clearly a lot of care put into the development of this game. I did encounter the occasional frame stutter or frame drop, mostly when entering caves or new environments, but generally speaking, it was super smooth when I was on the beach, in the mountains, or in the forest. In summary, I'm having a great time with Sons of the Forest, and I think you will too. There's a ton of stuff to do, even if you never touch the actual plot of the game. There's still so much to do here, and I think you're gonna have a great time exploring the island and creating your own journey. There is still some polish that needs to be added to this game. I think there's more story elements that they can build in, but I'm gonna cut the developers some slack because this is early access, and I hope they continue to add more content. With all of that in mind, Quickfire Reviews is going to give Sons of the Forest an 8 out of 10. This is a game you should check out, especially if you like survival games. I think you're gonna have a blast. But as always, I would love to hear what you thought of Sons of the Forest, so please leave your thoughts and your feedback in the comments section. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope I earned your sub. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Quickfire out.